All right. So we're gonna wrap up long talk with the boys today with our last dance talk and kind of cover a couple other topics that we have. Um, I just want to say and just throw out finally just the evolution of basketball as I watched that documentary. Because I wrote down some names last night, like Luke Longley, Will Purdue, Greg Ostertag. Like those guys don't exist in the league anymore. Like they're gone. Like you have no purpose for guys like that anymore.
Right.
And guys like that, 30 years ago, everybody had guys like that.
Bill
And today,
Winnington.
yeah. And today it's like, no, it's like, you wouldn't have a 7'3" guy who can't really move. And I mean, it's just, they would be useless today. So, that was one of my final thoughts too, is just how crazy it is, how much the game has changed. And how much I think those guys would score even more today than they ever did back then, because everything's so open today. Where, I mean, it's, I don't know how you guard a guy like Karl Malone today. Like, because, you can't really touch anybody, and he would just bump somebody, and he was so strong, he'd get to wherever he wanted to go to. And I don't know what you do, but yeah, it's just amazing how the game has changed.
Funny you say that, because like one of the things that I often think about is if, rule changes in any sport always, impact like how the sport is played. So if they move the 3-point line back 3 feet and get rid of the corner three, would big guys come back?
That's a good question.
Honestly. So you're shooting at almost a 27-footer. I mean, the percentages of 3-point shots would go, you got to think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the league average is.
Right.
But probably drop 8 percentage points maybe. I mean, maybe that's too high of a number. But I think, you get rid of the corner three and, all that spacing. Do you see those big guys coming back like that? I'm like the kid from Ayton from Arizona 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, they got drafted by the Phoenix Suns. Like, I think he's more of a player back in the Jordan days than he is right now. And I haven't seen him play at all in the NBA. So I'm asking. I don't know. Have you guys seen him play?
No, I have. I mean, and he's athletically, he's still a freak because he's still tall and can do things. But I like your point of the whole, if you move the line back, and I've heard people talk about that trapezoid lane instead of the rectangle, would you have more space, and could you get guys to post up again? I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if the game will ever go back to that, because it's so hard now. You can't get a kid to post up. Kids, that's like a dirty word. I mean, nobody wants to have their back to the bucket and make a move anymore. It's just not, it's not sexy, and it's not fun. And so, yeah, that's interesting though, Dan. I like that. That's a good point. It's a good point. All right, Dan, I'm gonna hit you up with you go ahead with your question.
All right, so this pops into my head last night. So probably, like, just thinking wise, I think a combination of being a competitor and being phenomenal at your sport. Okay, so 2-part question. One, who do you think was more dominant in their sport at their time? To me, I have 2 guys. I have Tiger and I have Jordan. Okay. So who do you think was more dominant in their prime, and why? And whose career do you think is better, and why?
Oh, wow. I'll go.
And the reason I'm glad Mason isn't here, I would have never asked Mason this question, because it would have been totally, he's irrelevant. because you two are at least unbiased.
Who do you think he would have gone with?
Oh, he would have got Jordan.
Oh, see, I have to go Tiger. I would go Tiger. And the reason I'm going to go Tiger is because I think what Tiger Woods has to do is harder than what Michael Jordan has to do, because it's just Tiger Woods. And he was so feared. And I mean, I know Jordan was too, but it was still Michael Jordan and the Bulls. He still had help. Like, he still had good guys around him that still made plays and had to do things. And I understood, he had to carry those guys on his back sometimes, but when you're Tiger Woods, you're just doing it by yourself. And that guy was feared. Like, he would go out to that golf course, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen in sports, where it was like, hey, it's Tiger or the field. And people were like, well, I'm taking Tiger, because, and we're talking world-class golfers. they would just wilt under the pressure, and he would just thrive off of it. And it was like, well, he's going to win. I mean, and you didn't think anybody, when he had the red shirt on a Sunday, you were like, well, nobody's catching that dude. I mean, nobody's catching him. He's winning. Like, he is going to win. It's just a matter of by how many strokes. So that's where I would go. That's just me. Derek, what about you?
I can't pick one, and here's why. This whole time I've been thinking, because they both transcended their game. They both took their sport to a level that had never been even thought about before. Like, those images of Jordan walking through Barcelona and seeing that big sign that
picture of himself.
Yeah. That and to see just mobs of people coming up to him, like I know I keep talking about Michael Jackson, but like the same way they did with like Michael Jackson or the Beatles. I mean, just like everybody wanted to see him. And he not only changed the way the game was played, but he was also like a pop icon. Like, people were wearing his clothes. People were doing what he's doing. Like, I don't know if anything up to that point was ever like that before. I don't know. Maybe Magic was, but I don't even think Magic was.
No, I think he took it to new heights. There's no doubt.
Right.
But then I think about Tiger.
I know. I was just going to go there. Tiger did the same thing, but now he brought it to a culture that had never been introduced to golf before. Mm-hmm. And he gave people who never even watched the game a reason to go watch golf and believe that anybody can do anything, and not only do it, but be the best at it. And that dude, like you said, was fierce. It's funny because like people like that, you either love them or hate them. And like, I would say the same thing with Michael, but to this day, I don't know anybody who's like, I kind of like Tiger. You either love him or you hate him, and it's because they're a winner, they're a champion, and they're relentless, and they just do anything they can to win. But then with all that going on with Tiger, like I said, he transcended golf, and it's just, I don't know. It's so equal. That's a really good question, Dan.
Dan, what about you?
Well, it was funny because I got in an argument with, I only have like 7 friends. So I got in an argument with one of them, and he was so passionate about Jordan, and his passion for Jordan was that he won 6 out of 8 titles. And I said, he said Tiger's not even the best golfer in golf because Jack finished second 21 times. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. You can't use the title analogy then, because then you're going to go Bill Russell.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he said, well, then you're talking different eras. I said, well, then you can't use the title analogy. Mine was Tiger. I mean, mine was for a couple reasons. One, people were going to watch the NBA Finals regardless if Michael Jordan was in it or not. The ratings for Tiger on a weekend of the Doral or the Waste Management Open are 1,000 times bigger than at any time he is not in it. People are going to watch the Masters. People are going to watch the U.S. Open. People are going to watch the PGA. Now, more people will watch it if Tiger's in there, but not necessarily like, the rinky-dink tournaments. And I have, for my money, until Bob May went toe-to-toe with him in the PGA Championship, a guy who was ranked like 691st or something crazy. Now Bob May lost, but Bob May in the final pairing with him shot a 66 just like Tiger. That was the first time anybody had ever played Tiger even maybe possibly a bit better than when he had the lead on something. He was, like you said, Keith, the red shirt on Sunday just scared the bejeebers out of every other golfer that was there. And not that what Michael did wasn't fantastic, but watching Kobe was pretty fun. I mean, and watching LeBron is pretty fun. I don't know if we will ever see anything like Tiger Woods ever again, ever, where he truly dominated a sport for a 6 to 8 year period where if he teed it up, like he said, the bet in Vegas was, are you going to take Tiger or are you going to take the field? And it was probably 50-50 on when they did that. So that was it was one of those things I was thinking about. But D, I do like your icon analogy about Jordan, because you're right. And think about that. And he did it without social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He branded himself without social media. Like where, now if you do something like, you do a flip off of a roof or something, you get like 1 million likes and get ads on YouTube or something.
That's a good point.
No, but Dan, you brought up another good point. But that's another thing with Tiger that's crazy is, I mean, Tiger wasn't, we weren't a Twitter nation or whatever when he was going through that, but people knew who he was. I mean, even your grandma knew who Tiger Woods was, and she didn't care about golf, but she knew who this guy was. And that was, he reached that icon status. But yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, there are other guys who've come along in basketball, like you said, Dan. There's been Kobe's, there's been LeBron's, there's Steph's. There's no one else. I mean, even though they tried to get Rory there, even though they tried to get other guys there, there's no one else who has filled that gap. That gap is like it's not getting filled. I mean, when you see the PGA video game, they can't even put anybody else on the cover and go, it's their PGA game, because no one's been able to fill that gap like Tiger Woods.
Tiger to the next golfers, the Grand Canyon. I don't think that's the same with Michael. I know D, you don't look like you agree, but I just don't think that, like, I mean, I literally, you can't even see the next golfer.
You keep talking about filling the gap, and you got it answered right there by saying it. Filling the gap. Come on, lefty.
No way.
Not even close. Not even close. He can do some more of his arthritis commercials. There's no way.
Come on.
I do like your play on words though, D. That was really good. Almost like an ELA teacher. That was impressive. Maybe you and I can switch jobs. Because I just got my evaluation. I think I'm like,
yeah. Are you average?
I think I'm below average, but I may have to do one of those plans or something.
You've done that for a while though.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
All right. I got a question for you too. And I know it's kind of hard off the top of your head, but can you think of anybody else you would like to see a documentary about?
I was thinking that.
Who would it be? Like I was sitting here this morning thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know.
We just said him.
Tiger?
Colin actually had this on this morning because he was talking about, he goes, he doesn't want to see a documentary on the Yankees because they're not interesting. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be like, because Jordan was not only Jordan, but he was Jordan because, he had a little bit of controversy with him as well. So I think it'd be fascinating to get people there. I mean, like, do you want to watch a documentary on Tim Duncan's Spurs? No.
Well, right. And that's the way I thought about, like, with the Patriots. The Patriots are boring.
I got to go, guys.
No problem, man.
Yeah.
All right.
No problem.
Bye, buddy. No, that's a great question. I Tiger would be number one for me, just because there's so much into him, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you follow the story the whole way through. Now, the thing though with him is going to be, and Jordan did a nice job. I mean, the only negative you saw about Michael Jordan for the past 5 weeks was the gambling thing. That was it.
Right.
There was no other. I mean, and when you get to script it and you get to kind of tell your own story, you can kind of weave that, kind of any way you want to. But yeah, I was just, but I can't think of the thing with Tiger though, is I feel like I know a lot about Tiger, just because of, you saw the pictures of when, he was so young and him and his dad are on the show, and you knew kind of what Earl was doing. But I don't know. I don't know who I'd want to see one on. I really don't. Probably Dan Lauber.
Dan Lauber. Listen,
man, the myth, legend.
Hey, brother, it started pouring, so I better go out and
don't worry, man. I'm out of here myself. So thanks for doing this, bro.
Hey, well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Late.
Bye, buddy.